Hey, good morning everyone and welcome to Fridays with Fenning. Last week on Fridays with Fenning, I concluded by asking you to consider two questions. When did you last feel really loved? And what was happening to make you feel this way? And I asked because that will give you a clue as to your love language. Well, did you manage to answer those two questions? Because today I want to give you an insight into one of my primary love languages. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it all will become clear very shortly. Sarah and we got married in 2003, and within the first 9 months of being married, I remember heading off for a week's leadership training in the States just before Christmas. And I had to leave Sarah to look after our 3 kids. And I was really looking forward to learning so much, but I hate going away because I get homesick. In fact, I still do. And so having arrived in Chicago and I'd made my way to my accommodation, I opened up my case to unpack and I found an envelope with Sarah's writing on it. I opened it and inside was an 8-day homemade advent calendar, basically a window to be opened each day that I was away. So I quickly opened the first one and Sarah had written something about me that she loved. Now, everything within me wanted to open them all straight away, but I resisted. And so every morning I'd get up, I'd open the next window and just live off the words that she'd written. It made me feel so loved and had a big impact on me, which is probably why I'm telling you this 18 years later. Now, what was happening? Well, Sarah was speaking in one of my dominant love languages. The words of affirmation that she said in those windows meant that I felt loved. I understood that she loved me. She was speaking my love language. Now, we used to do these kinds of things a lot in the early years of our marriage. I used to have a paper diary and then sometimes I'd open it and find that Sarah had written a little note to me. And I used to leave post-it notes in her books that she was reading or in a coat pocket just as a surprise. And this is Sarah's primary love language too. So for both of us, there is power, there's life, there's the evidence of love in the words that are written or spoken to each other. And it was more nuanced than that. I would tell Sarah over and over that I loved her and how much I loved her. But for some reason, it just didn't get through to her. And she didn't feel secure, which to me just didn't make sense. And so one day she said this, she said, saying that you love me is great, but it just means that you're feeling happy about life. I need you to tell me why you love me. Give me 3 reasons why you love me. And blimey, that put the pressure on me. I hadn't thought of that. I just loved her. But that wasn't enough. She wanted to know why I did. And that was a really key moment for me in unlocking the power of words and understanding the wisdom in Solomon's words when he wrote, "The tongue has the power of life and death." In other words, my words could bring life to Sarah, and that telling her why I loved her, what I loved about her, was just dynamite. Now, the author and pastor Gary Chapman developed the love language system from his years of working with couples as a marriage counsellor. And he reasoned that there are 5 love languages that we all enjoy and experience on some level in our relationships. And so he speaks about words of affirmation, which is what I want to focus on today. But quality time, acts of service, physical touch, thoughtful gifts. Now, all are expressions of love. But Gary Chapman says this, that we all have 1 or 2 dominant styles or languages that we prefer for receiving and giving love. And now, this is true not just in marriage, but in every relationship that we have. Everyone needs to feel loved and valued and appreciated and needed in different ways. It depends on their dominant or primary love language. And I believe that the most common love language, the one that more people identify with than any other, is words of affirmation. Mark Twain, the author, once said, "I can live for 2 months on a good compliment." And I kind of get that. My emotional tank gets filled up when people say good things about me and to me. It's why I keep a file on my laptop, which is just called nice emails. Because the power of those kind words, those words of encouragement, hold great weight for me. They're powerful communicators of love. And if you work with someone or go out with someone or have a friend or spouse whose primary love language is words of affirmation, you need to learn to develop that language. If you want them to know that they're loved, that they're valued and appreciated, words are important. Words of affirmation come in different dialects too. There are verbal compliments. You know the ones, you look lovely today. Oh, I love the way that you tackled that problem. You're so wise, and you just ask great questions. Your sense of humour is just brilliant. Picking up on someone's strengths is very powerful and can change the working environment, the atmosphere at home. Speaking compliments about your spouse or colleague or others, or affirming them in front of others is very powerful too. Sarah and I tease each other a lot in other people's company, but Sarah often says, I am very nice about you behind your back, and she is. And it may seem a bit shallow to you if this isn't your love language, but words are powerful. So keep telling yourself that. So there are complimentary words, then there are words to encourage. And to encourage means to inspire courage in someone. And all of us have areas where we feel insecure. That insecurity causes us to lack courage in stepping out and doing the positive things that we'd love to do. And so Gary Chapman writes that the latent potential within your spouse, friend, colleague in his or her areas of insecurity may await your encouraging words. So praise a new band member at church inspires courage in them to do it again. Just a few words can really make all the difference. Your words of encouragement can motivate and inspire others to take a next step or pursue a dream. Why? Because words are powerful. And then there are grateful words, showing gratitude, not just for the big things, but for the little things. Sarah's really good at that. She always is so grateful if I do something that means that she doesn't need to do it. And she appreciates the small things, which has a two-way benefit. It has a great effect on me because it fills my emotional tank, and it means that I want to please her more. That's then good news for her, of course. Everyone's a winner, baby. That's the truth. And if words of affirmation is the most common love language, then take a note of how words are used at home, at work, or with friends. How many conversations are built around compliments, encouragement, and gratitude? J. John once said this. He says, you can bury a marriage by a lot of little digs. And it's so true. But we can make such a difference to someone's life, to the atmosphere at home or work, if you learn the power of this love language. Give it a go and see how it changes relationships for the better. Make this week a week of compliments, of encouragement, and of saying thank you. And I promise you, you'll notice a difference. Hey, thanks so much for watching today.